On WNWO News at 6.
The rains have now moved out and the cold weather will be returning. The big question is, will we see any snow with that cold? We'll talk about that in your forecast coming up.
We got everything high off the ground. We're doing everything we can.
Residents in Findlay are getting ready for flooding. A Monroe Pizza Shop is using Facebook to try and catch whoever robbed their restaurant. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to WNWO News at 6 o'clock. I'm Bryant Madrick. Tonight's big story is the weather. Constant rain, warm temperatures, and melting snow have created flooding risk for communities all over our area. One place in particular where people are keeping a very close eye on is the Blanchard River in Findlay. That's where we find WNWO's Eric Wildstein. He joins us live in Findlay tonight. Eric?
Yeah, Brian, people here in Findlay are no strangers to the flooding, and here today it was no different. You can see I'm already downtown. If you take a look behind me, you can see that floodwaters are already coming in to the downtown area, and I'll move out of the way so you can get a better look at that. You can see the streets are already flooded, and I was already down by the Blanchard River earlier today where I spoke to residents about how they were preparing for the floods tonight. Floodwater in Findlay was already knocking on the front doors of homes along the Blanchard River. By Sunday afternoon, the river level had risen to 14 feet as residents prepared for the worst.
Well, we got the basement pretty much cleaned out. The garage, we got everything high off the ground. We're doing everything we can, mostly.
Flooding forced road closures throughout the city, shutting down power and clogging main intersections. It's an all too familiar sight for those who were hit hard by floods in 2007.
My garage was full. I lost a lot of stuff. A lot of equipment out of my garage. Lawnmowers, rider, push mower. We lost the furnace.
I had to wade water up to my waist to get back to my apartment building. So yeah, I'm very familiar with this.
A sump pump was already bailing water out of Judy's finished basement. She's concerned it may be game over for that new pool table she just installed yesterday.
The water is seeping in the basement, so I've got my squeegee down there, and I'm trying to keep it away from the pool table.
The Red Cross has opened an evacuation shelter at Glenwood Middle School in case Findlay is faced with an emergency.
You panic. And what is a minor thing to us is a major. And so we're here prepared, waiting till they find out what happens.
But for now, some residents are choosing to stay put.
No, we'll stay right here in the house. In 07, my mom wouldn't leave, and I ain't gonna leave either.
It's gonna take a lot more than a little water to get me out tonight.
Yeah, and that evacuation shelter is still open right now at Glenwood Middle School, and officials there are going to wait until about 7 or 8 o'clock to make an official determination as to whether it's going to be staying open overnight or not. Now, the river is supposed to crest at about 15 feet by 7 or 8 o'clock, which will give them a clearer idea. For right now, reporting in downtown Findlay, Eric Wildstein, WNWO.
All right, thank you, Eric. Well, the rising water already has been impacting several roads all throughout our area, including Interstate 75. The Ohio State Highway Patrol says they had to close both lanes of the road just south of State Route 613 after midnight this morning. The interstate reopened around 4:30. Now, the Ohio Emergency Management Agency is using this weather to remind motorists faced with a flooded roadway to turn around. Don't drown. You're looking at file video of previous flooding. Local and state officials say because roads are heavily saturated from the rain and melting snow, the risk of flooding is especially high, as you saw definitely in Eric's package. Now, those officials add the concern increases for the nighttime because of travel. You cannot see the roadways, and that can make the situations especially hazardous. Now, you can find out real-time traffic conditions from the State Department of Transportation by visiting our website, northwestohio.com. All right, so what's happening right now? Let's head over to the Weather Center where meteorologist Joe Thompson has a look at the current conditions. Joe?
Hey, Brian. Yeah, the good news is the rainfall is out, so we're probably not going to see a lot more moisture or water added to the rivers. The bad news is those rivers have not quite crested just yet because all those streams, all those creeks continue to feed into those rivers, so that's why the crest will be happening tonight and early tomorrow morning. Because of that, we still do have flood warnings in effect basically for all of our northwest Ohio counties. Let's show you that right now. These will be be expiring at different times over about the next 24 to 36 hours. Obviously, down in Findlay, we'll probably have that warning in effect for a longer period of time, as it is going to take a little extra time for those waters to recede. But again, rivers continue to run high. That does include the Maumee River, especially over towards the Grand Rapids area, and the Sandusky River also running pretty high, especially as you get down towards the Bucyrus area. So again, any interest along the waterways, you'll still need to contend with those high waters here for at least the next day or two. But like I said, the rains have moved out. The colder air is starting to move on in, and because of that, we are actually starting to see maybe a few spotty snow flurries. You see those out there over northeast Indiana. Those will be trekking their way into Ohio tonight, but it's really not going to amount to a whole lot. It's relatively quiet now, certainly a lot quieter than it was 24 hours ago. But as I mentioned, that colder air is starting to work its way on in, and there will be some chances for a few snowflakes here as we go into the start of the week. And if you're dreaming of a white Christmas, well, I may have some good news for you. We'll talk about that in your forecast here in just a few minutes. Bryant?
All right, thank you, Joe. Well, the official start of winter brought a little bit of everything to everybody. Heavy snow, ice, flooding, tornado warnings, and even record highs in parts of the country. Dylan Dreyer